Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are on the sunny island. In this video we are going to talk to you about the Mallorca 312. We took part in the event, did the full 312 kilometers, and wanted to kind of show you some footage, some information about the event, and take you through how it all kind of went. This video you will see that we did the full 312 kilometers. There are options to do 3 different lengths, so you can do the 167, 220, and then obviously the full 312. The bulk of the climbing is done in the first 220 kilometers. So if you were looking to kind of just do hills and really maybe push yourself on those, or experience a super hilly ride, then the first 220 might be for you. If you did also want to increase the distance and maybe push yourself to do a full 312 kilometer ride, bear in mind that the last kind of 80 to 90k is mainly flat-ish. It's kind of riding down the chamois and the little quiet lanes, still with some punchy little bits of climbing though as well, to just kind of make sure the legs are still tingling. The event was basically over 2 days, so 1 day of riding with a super early start. On the Friday before there is the Expo, which was absolutely phenomenal, gotta say, all in Alcudia, which is where the race kind of starts and also ends, which is handy. And the Expo was an incredible space, just full of cycling kit brands, bike brands, ice cream brands, drink, coffee. It was just absolutely pumping, music playing, really great atmosphere, and that just gave you the opportunity to kind of go down, pick up your number, reach around and drink in the atmosphere. Because one thing I learned about this event is Spain, or Mallorca, knows how to party and knows how to bring excellent energy to the island, especially with a cycling event. In terms of some upfront details for us, we flew in quite down to the wire, and a huge learning for us would be to maybe not leave it so close to the event. We flew in on the Friday. We used Bike Box Allen as our bike box shipping method to get our own bikes over here. Quite a lot of people did hire bikes from bike rental shops. There are plenty on the island as well where you could secure a bike if you didn't want to ship your own over. We based ourselves in accommodation in Alcudia, simply just to be super close to the start and finish line, and a reason for that being the event actually kicks off super early. So on the Saturday morning, the start line kind of kicks off from 6:30 in the morning, and you're asked to get there kind of between 5:30, 5:45. I think with the 6:15 cut off to be in your designated pen. So the earlier you get there, the better. The crowds are pumping, and lots of people do gather to get in their pens nice and early.
What time is it now?
I think it's about go time.
5:15. Speaking of go time, coffee's just kicked in.
Oh God! So once you kick off, the first 20k is flat and fast. Not pictured here because I have my head down just trying to get through in the group. And there are just huge masses of people, lots of wheels to kind of jump on, lots of groups to be a part of. And you just kind of try and find your pace, find your flow, navigate a few traffic islands here and there. But it's mainly flat and fast, so quite nice and quick out up to the first climb. The first climb is called Femenia, which is 19 meters, so not too shabby at all. And by this point, the groups are starting to break out, so you can kind of find your own flow, find your pace, catch your breath. And if you're feeling less confident riding in groups, this is probably where you can start to just hang back and find your own kind of pacing and settle into the rhythm of the ride. At this point, the views start to get super lovely, the legs getting fired up, and people are just super helpful all the way around. So your first feed stop is maybe about 50k in, so you want to pace yourself up for Menia, but it's not too far after that. Now, the feed stations are absolutely wild. I think for this year, so 2024, they actually included a lot more feed stations after feedback that last year it was just too chaotic and there weren't enough that were spaced out. So this time around, in our experience, there were quite a few for the front part of the ride, but they were often super busy, queues for things like water, toilets, etc. So if you can miss the first feed stop by just having giant bottles and maybe just, planning a bit of a strategy, you're probably best off doing that if you can. Lots of people do pee by the side of the road, so yeah, if you're not afraid, just go for it. After Femenia, you're then onto your biggest climb of the day, which is Puigmajor, which is 899 metres in height. So it's your biggest climb, it's super lovely, the views are amazing, and then you begin your first major descent into Soler. Now on this ride, there are quite a few confident riders who descend at breakneck speed. I am not one of them, so if you're someone who doesn't love a fast descent and likes to take it a bit more carefully, just make sure you hang back on the right hand side. Now the roads are closed, so it does mean that you can take full advantage of the entire stretch, which is phenomenal. I didn't quite realise this until about 100k in, but yeah, once you do kind of get the knack and you can take wider corners, just build up your confidence over time, and people do share the roads. There aren't too many choppers, which is great. And obviously then you've got the most amazing views, the coast road, and you start to head on to the MA10, which takes you into Soler. Now the wind did pick up on this part during this ride, crazy gusts of up to 50 miles per hour, which was sending my front wheel going a little bit wild. So yeah, you're best off getting in groups there if you can to shield yourself. And then kind of once you're down, there's a few more cols. I mean, I say a few, it looks like there's about 9 to be quite honest with you. But in between that, you've got 3 feed stops, or there were 3 this year, including one of the water bottle stops. So it's quite spaced out if you did need to stop and have a little break and refuel. And this carries on until about 158 kilometers, and then it starts to flatten out. So you're on your way home. So if you're on the 165 or 167, you're basically almost there, which is brilliant. You've done the bulk of the climbing. Now there are cut-off times to be wary of for this ride, which some people do come up against. So I think there's a cut-off time which is about 11:15 for some of the first section, and then there's a cut-off time about 4:30 for the second part as well. So it's worth checking those out when they release the route next year. Between 192 and 241 kilometers, there wasn't another food stop, which I came up against.
It's raining. Open your mouth.
You do eventually get water at 241, and then at 285 is what can only be described as a bumping party, serving margaritas, coke, beer. But for the last 80k, you're basically kind of on camis, so the lovely kind of local lanes, just kind of exploring around, trying to get to the distance. It feels like you're doing constant left and right turns, but it's amazing views, really, really lovely scenery. There are quite a few potholes to be aware of when you're on this section. The rest of the climb's kind of buttery smooth, but here you get little lumps in the road, so watch your tyres. But there's animals about, it's really nice, and you kind of know you're on the home stretch at this point, which is quite a nice feeling. Where to the wise, it's not completely flat. They do add in a couple of little sneaky climbs, including one which ramped up to about 12% when I looked at the Garmin. Also did it in the wrong gear. So yeah, just something to bear in mind, that when you've got completely knackered legs, there is still a few little digs here and there. But yeah, home stretch, you're almost done. And then at this point, you're kind of on flat and fast roads back into Alcudia. So yeah, the end part just goes super quick, and before you know it, you hit the towns, you're into people cheering you along, and you pass over the threshold where people are greeting you with beers and a pasta party. So worth clinging on for. Oh my god. Like a fat sausage. But that was so good. So good. How do you feel?
Alright.
You're fresh. I later found out I came 13th lady, and I'm absolutely chuffed. Let's go and get a drink. Cheeky pasta party. First thoughts, fresh from finish.
Should have gone faster.
We should have gone faster. What a day. I think we're going to chug this and then probably carry on eating.
Favourite bits?
That's really hot. I would say all of the climbing. I loved all of the climbing, except for the really spicy, like 12% little ramp near the end.
That's my best one.
That was your best one? That was just like so unnecessary. Came out of nowhere, shambles. Yeah, it was all good. I think the crowds, like people on the side of the street, like literally like shouting like giving out food.
So many people at the side, yeah.
Yeah, like it was just, oh my god, the party at 300. Was it 300 goes? No.
2885, something like that.
The party that was like, do you want a margarita or a can of Coke? I was like, what? There's still like 30k to go. That was brilliant. That was like just what we needed.
The crowd was incredible.
The crowd was phenomenal. Like literally like rising in happening, people being like, that was unbelievable. Same question to you. Your best bits? The beer! How many beers are you going to have?